Today, we're diving into some big NFL rumors surrounding the Chicago Bears. Specifically, we're talking about their offensive line and one player who's been protecting Caleb Williams, Teevin Jenkins. Rumor has it the Bears aren't planning to re-sign him. Stick around because we're breaking it all down. Let's go. All right, let's set the stage here. The Chicago Bears came into the 2024 season with sky-high expectations. Caleb Williams was supposed to be the savior, the cornerback who could finally lead the team to glory. But the season hasn't exactly gone as planned. Injuries, inconsistent play, and yes, a struggling offensive line have been the major factors. Now, let's focus on Teevin Jenkins. He's been a key piece of the offensive line since being drafted in 2021. When he's healthy, Jenkins is a beast. He's physical, aggressive, and capable of dominating in the trenches. But, and this is a big but, staying healthy has been a massive issue for him. So let's break down Jenkins' injury history. In 2021, his rookie season, he played just 6 games and started only 2. Not a great start. In 2022, he managed to appear in 13 games, starting 11. Better, but still not ideal. Then in 2023, he played 12 games with 11 starts. And now in 2024, he's played 14 games and started all of them. But even this year, he's been on the injury report multiple times with problems involving 5 different body parts. 5! That's unheard of for an offensive lineman. Brad Biggs from 670 The Score recently gave his take on Jenkins, and it's pretty telling.
I said this year, stay healthy. That's number one. That's most importance for me right now.
According to Biggs, the Bears might not even try to re-sign Jenkins. Why? Because they're tired of the constant injuries.
Stay healthy, get through the whole 17 games, and continue my strong play from last year, and be a more consistent, reliable guy.
The only offensive lineman on the roster right now, according to Pro Football Focus, that is not allowed a pressure or a sack this year.
Biggs pointed out that Jenkins has left games with injuries more often than any offensive lineman he's ever seen. That's a brutal assessment, but it's hard to argue with the fact. So, where does this leave the Bears? First off, they've got to protect Caleb Williams. That's priority number 1. Williams is the future of this franchise. And if he's going to succeed, he needs a strong offensive line. Right now, the interior of the Bears line is a big question mark. They need 2 new starting guards and possibly a new center as well. That's a lot of work to do in one offseason. The good news is the Bears have the resources to make some big moves. They're sitting on 3 picks in the top 41 of the 2025 NFL Draft. They also have 4 picks in the top 73. That's a lot of draft capital, and it gives them the flexibility to go after top-tier offensive line talent. On top of that, they've got some cap space to work with in free agency. But here's the thing. Finding elite offensive linemen in free agency isn't easy. Most teams lock up their best linemen long before they hit the open market. So the Bears might have to get creative. They could look for younger players with upside or veterans who are willing to take a team-friendly deal. They could also consider trading some of their draft capital for proven players. Now, let's talk about what this means for Teevin Jenkins. Even though the Bears might be ready to move on, Jenkins could still find a home elsewhere in the league. He's too talented to be completely written off. Some team will likely take a chance on him, maybe on a 1-year prove-it deal. If he can stay healthy, he could be a valuable addition for a team in need of offensive line help. But here's the big question. Is Jenkins worth the risk? On one hand, his injury history is a huge red flag. On the other hand, his talent is undeniable. When he's on the field, he's one of the better guards in the league. It's a tough call, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. For the Bears, this is about more than just Jenkins. It's about building an offensive line that can protect Caleb Williams and give him the time he needs to make plays. Williams has shown flashes of brilliance this season, but he's also taken way too many hits. If the Bears want him to develop into the superstar they believe he can be, they've got to prioritize his protection. Let's zoom out for a minute and look at the bigger picture. The Bears are at a crossroads. They've got their quarterback of the future in Caleb Williams. They've got draft capital. They've got cap space. But they've also got a ton of holes to fill, especially on the offensive line. How they handle this offseason could determine the direction of the franchise for years to come. If you're a Bears fan, this has to be a little frustrating. The team finally has a potential franchise quarterback, but the pieces around him just aren't there yet. The offensive line has been a problem for years, and it's still a problem now. Fixing it isn't going to be easy, but it's absolutely necessary. So what should the Bears do? First, they need to evaluate their current roster. Are there any players who can step up and fill these gaps? Maybe, but they'll likely need to look outside the organization for help. That means scouting the draft thoroughly and identifying players who can make an immediate impact. It also means being aggressive in free agency and exploring trade opportunities. One name to watch in the draft is Cooper Gaines, the standout guard from Georgia. He's a dominant force in the trenches and could be exactly what the Bears need to solidify their interior line. Another option could be a player like Max Jenkins from Ohio State, who's versatile enough to play both guard and center. These are the kinds of players who could make a big difference for the Bears. In free agency, the options might be more limited, but there are still some intriguing possibilities. A veteran like Ben Powers, if available, could provide immediate stability. Or the Bears could take a chance on a younger player with upside, someone who hasn't quite reached their full potential yet. The key is finding players who fit their system and can help protect Caleb Williams. Now, let's not forget about the coaching staff. Offensive line coach Chris Morgan will play a huge role in this process. It'll be up to him to develop the players the Bears bring in and get the most out of them. Morgan has a solid track record, so there's reason to be optimistic about his ability to mold this group into a cohesive unit. As we wrap up, let's circle back to Teevin Jenkins. If this is indeed the end of his time with the Bears, it's a bittersweet moment. Jenkins has shown flashes of brilliance, but the injuries have just been too much to overcome. Sometimes a fresh start is what a player needs, and maybe that's the case here. For the Bears, the focus has to be on the future. Caleb Williams is the centerpiece of this team, and protecting him has to be the top priority. Whether it's through the draft, free agency, or trades, the Bears need to build an offensive line that can keep him upright and give him the time he needs to succeed. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. What do you think about the Bears' situation? Should they move on from Teevin Jenkins, or should they give him another chance? And how do you think they should approach fixing the offensive line? Let me know in the comments below.